I just absolutely had to be on the inside of that monastery. So I spoke to my local priest and I said, you know, I feel this call to monastic life, and I have to become Catholic. I didn't, if I say I didn't think, that could come across irresponsible, but in terms of heart overhead, the heart won, you know, and it had to, it always has to. And so I started the RCIA and had one-to-one with my priest, and we hammered everything out, and there I was, about a year and a half later, because I really took my time. I had some wobbles, as you do, halfway through. That was when I started thinking, can I do this? You know, and that's totally normal, to be up and down, because a relationship with God is not any different from a relationship with any other person. You know, you have your ups and downs, and I had my moments of why would I become a nun? That's ridiculous, you know. I'm composing music, that's what I want to do, you know. So you're kind of battling and fighting for where you think you lie. But I knew all along at the bottom of all of that, that was just me having a tantrum and Jesus was trying to make me surrender more and more, you know, just to let go of things. So I started selling everything, giving clothes to charity, and slowly just releasing everything so that he took center stage, really. It's a really beautiful journey. And then when I did my very first live-in with the sisters, it was amazing. I'd done several visits, but obviously I was in the guest chapel. But this time I went through the actual monastery door and on the inside, and I thought, gosh, I'm here for 2 weeks. You know, how is this all going to go? And it was bliss, you know. To actually get to process into the chapel, into choir with them, was the most beautiful. And just to see them, even though I was part of it, just to observe their daily life, how they go about the divine office, how they are at Mass, the music, the Gregorian chant, which was my favourite. I always loved being a musician. I think I had a big head start because I could sight read, and that was really helpful. And I loved the Latin. And there was one evening at Compline, I think we were singing, I've got to get this right now. Hang on. Ave Regina Celorum, I think it was. And they just had the candles. And it was all dark, and we were chanting, and I just thought, why aren't there more monasteries doing this every night, you know? And I kind of stood there sad, happy but sad that there are so few active monasteries now, and so few people following the call all the way, you know. And it really is such a beautiful, beautiful life, you know. And I was privileged to go all the way in on the inside of the monastery, and do that twice. I then discerned a while after my second live-in that I would come out, because it felt that the Lord in the end was calling me to music. And so I had lots of chats with the sisters, and felt it was time to step back, and that was incredibly hard. That was a tremendous amount of grief with that, and I spent last year recovering, really grieving, recovering, and feeling my life change again, you know. And that was not easy, because you know, a part of me thought I would go all the way. But you never know what will happen. But you learn, I think, that we're in certain places with certain people for a certain amount of time, and that can be perhaps all you need to set you off on another path. And the experience I gained there was vital. Just being able to live a prayerful life, and it taught me a lot, and I've carried a lot of my journey with the sisters away with me. It will never go away. It was that strong. So I think I would hugely encourage, talking from the small chunk of experience that I've got, I would hugely encourage anyone feeling the call, even in the slightest, to go for it. Absolutely go for it. It is life-changing. It is absolutely life-changing. Your time, I was only there for a short amount of time. My journey with the sisters was 3 years, and my living in total was only a month, which doesn't sound like anything, but the 3-year journey surrounding that was huge. I completely transformed as a person, and now I just want to pray for the world. You get things cemented, basically. I know my mission now, if you like, is prayer, and always has been, from all that history when I was younger, to then having it cemented by coming into contact with other women of prayer, living that beautiful life that they live every day, and then coming away, hadn't lost anything because it was already there, but it made me realise the importance of prayer even more than normal. And one of the really moving moments that did that for me was the sisters have a prayer list outside the chapel, and people will ring the monastery, and then they would write the various prayers on the board. And one evening I was just going through the list of prayers, and people's really moving comments about members of their family or their friends, and they would be asking the sisters for prayers. And I was reading it, just trying not to cry before one of the services, because monasteries are looked at as lighthouses, beacons of light for people. We can all pray, but particularly monasteries seem to have the edge. Monks and nuns are sort of seen as really up there with their closeness to God. And it made me just think, things are happening all the time in the world, all the time, bad, and we can help. We can help just by praying, saying a prayer, and giving of ourselves to make the world a better place. And that's the most important thing. It's very selfless. The sisters are, you give up so much to help other people, and that always stayed with me, because in the morning at the monastery, you'd never know who was going to call with what prayer or what needs, and at the end of the day, there you are at the end of Vespers, saying the prayers and the intercessions for these people who you don't know. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I'm from so and so," but you don't know them as a person, and they're trusting their really personal problems and illnesses, whatever it may be, to you. And I suddenly stood there thinking, crikey, it's my duty. I am responsible. In a way, we have a duty, and that really stuck. So I think prayer is absolutely vital. You don't always see the results of it, but when you do, wow. It's definitely not, you are praying, but God is right there with you, enabling everything to be answered. And again, as people say, not always in the way that we think or we want, but there's always a blessing to every negative, and we need that, the negative positive balance. So I think never stop praying, and go for the call if it's happening to you, and not to be frightened. being scared is completely normal. After my sort of hype and happiness, I was thinking, whoa, what's being asked of me, and going through all those human emotions is completely necessary. But you won't regret it, because only God knows ultimately what's absolutely best for us, and He's right there. And that beautiful quote from Hosea, saying, "I will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her." It's so beautiful, and God only wants us to love. That's the whole purpose for our being here. Actually, that's what all of it is about. So it's definitely worth it.